Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Video Success Secrets. Got it out without slowing. We're delighted that you're all here today. We're going to start right away. We're not going to wait for latecomers to join us. If you're late, you're late. We've only got a half a minute and lots of things to cover. So I'll start. I'm Maury Hanigan. I'm CEO of SparcStart. SparcStart is a video platform for all your employer brand videos to create, approve, edit, and share. If you don't have a really easy to use platform to automate all of it, just reach out. And I've got three incredible panelists with me today. I handpicked these people because I think they are producing really, really wonderful content and really advancing the whole area of employer brand. And I'm going to let them each introduce themselves. So I'll go based on how my screen is. Leigha, do you want to start? Just tell us your name, your title, who you work for, what you're responsible for, and as best as you can estimate, how many employer brand and recruitment marketing videos you've made.
Of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Leigha Wanczowski. I today work for Zendesk, where I am the manager of recruitment marketing and employer brand. I sit in talent acquisition, specifically in brand insights and sourcing. So I have a lot of opportunity to work in talent acquisition enablement. I've been spending a lot of time actually doing a lot of more corporate initiative level projects at this point. And I would guess, I'd say probably I've done about 50 videos, or I've been involved in about 50 videos at this point. Although when I say 50 videos, some of those might be a lot of collaborations and mashups. So there might be more videos involved in that total 50.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're being modest at best, at least all of that. Yolanda,
Thanks.
do you want to go next?
Sure. Yolanda Paine, it's great to be here. I am the Associate Director of Talent Brand Strategy and Employer Brand, and very long employer experience as well. So that means I partner a ton with the employer experience team. I have been doing everything from partnering with my role sits within the HR organization, but I partner a ton with corporate communications and employer experience as well. I have done, if I had to guess, I have done maybe about 30 or so videos. Not all of them see the light of day. So if you want to include those that haven't seen the light of day, then I'm sure it'd go a lot further up.
And you've got to mention you work for Regeneron. So lots of variety in terms of industries here. Okay, and Alex, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, definitely. Alex Herr, based out of Austin, Texas, and I head up the employer branding globally at GoDaddy.com. And I think it's tough for all of us, right? I want to say 50 plus videos, but we all enjoy collaborating with our teammates. That's how the magic happens. So there's probably more out there, but we've all had a hand in the 30 to 50 videos that we have on count.
Wow, again, we've been doing a lot of homework and we're finding all sorts of stuff. So all of you guys are being really modest. I'm going to start with a lightning round here so that we try to get as much information out to all of our participants and guests here as possible. So I'm going to ask each of you a couple of questions and answer it in just a couple of sentences, top line. We'll maybe get into more detail later. This time I'll go backwards. Alex, I'll start with you. The first question is, what is the one thing that people, employer brand people, need to get right when they make a video? What's the most important thing?
Just because you have the technology and you can get someone to record a video doesn't mean it's going to go viral or just become this gem that everyone's going to use, right? Level set your expectations.
Okay, great. Leigha, what's the one thing you've got to get right when you do it?
I think you need to start out knowing why you're creating it. What's the why behind it? Because that plays into so many different things down the line. And even myself, so many times, when you get down the line, you start answering that question then rather than at the outset. So it can save you so much time, so much project planning, and so much pain if you start out knowing what you're doing and why.
Great. Yolanda? What do they have to get right?
I wholeheartedly agree with both Leigha and Alex. I would add the one thing maybe would be the talent. Not everyone has the same comfort level with video. And so it could obviously, if we're looking at you, it's the one thing that I think would make it either appealing or unappealing. If you don't have a choice with talent, then it's making sure that you're creating that environment where you can bust out talent.
Yeah. Great.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. I think knowing what problem you're trying to solve rather than, oh, we need a recruiting video. When you start off with, oh, we need a recruiting video, you end up with a lot of very generic stuff. But when you solve a problem, then you're going someplace. So love all of it. Okay, then we'll go backwards. We'll go to Yolanda, to you first for the second question. And what's the biggest mistake that people make or that one can make?
I would say I can use myself as an example. The biggest mistake I've made is over scripting. And when you're thinking about videos and authenticity, especially employee generated content, you have to give people the room to be themselves and infuse their own personality. And when you try to really force an entire script, it really comes off as bland and not even viewable. So I say that with a grain of salt because I do work in a highly regulated industry in pharmaceuticals, but I would say that is something that you should keep in mind.
Alex, you want to take it next?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake, and I mean, Yolanda, that was a good one. But I would say the other big mistake that you can make is assuming that you know what's best for your audience, right? It changes all the time. What may have been try and trusted before doesn't work anymore, right? Seeing the walkthroughs of the videos that go into the office, people don't like that anymore. But I love what Emily Firth did about a week ago, and she used the outtakes and the B-rolls from her session, and that became the video. It was unmistakably great. It was something that you would never think of doing. I would say at most corporate places they would frown upon that, but she took that, put it out there, and it really humanized the approach. It's something that I've never done, but something that I would love to use as inspiration moving forward.
Cool. Leigha?
Sure. I think that one of the biggest things that the biggest mistakes you can make is trying to pack too many ideas into one video. One of the things I always try to do is think of, what is my one takeaway? If somebody watches this, what is the one idea that they should take away? And then I try to make sure that I'm always thinking through, are we working toward that idea? Because when you start talking to someone, you learn more of their story, and there are so many great elements to it. And when you think about your EVP, you usually learn that their story plays into more elements of that, and you can start to try and bring more of their story into that. And you start going into more tangents, and the story becomes bigger, the video becomes bigger. And before you know it, you're trying to cram in 4 or 5 ideas. And now it's just too big, and the person doesn't have that one takeaway. And now when they watch the video, they don't really know what you're trying to say to them. So it's sticking to that one idea and also having a point of view. It's allowing the employee, like Yolanda said, to have their point of view, to speak through their point of view. But it's also, what is the organization? What is the company's point of view? Allowing the employee to bring the EVP to life through their experience.
Yeah, I'd like to build on all of that. I think we see videos get uploaded where people have been scripted, and your folks are not professional actors. They can't pull off a script, and it sounds it. So I echo that big time. But the other piece, and it's building a little bit on what both of Alex and Leigha has said, is understanding what the candidate wants to know rather than what you want to tell them. We see all the time people, we've got the 3 pillars of our EVP, so we're going to hit this buzzword and this buzzword and this buzzword. And you go around and you talk to the candidates, do they care about those 3 things? when they're in a job role, or understanding where you're going to use the video. If it's at the very beginning of attraction, what is it that a candidate wants to know, which is very different before they walk into an interview or go online for an interview. Where are they in the process? What information do they want to know? So yeah, all of these things together really stay focused on the candidate rather than focused on you. Right? That's going to make the biggest piece. And lastly, for our lightning round, go through and talk about how do you measure success of your video. Leigha, why don't you take this one first?
Sure. I'm going to go back to the why, right? Why did you create this video? Because that's going to, for me, determine how I'm going to measure success. It's going to depend what problem am I trying to solve, right? Because that's going to determine where I'm going to optimize this in the candidate journey. If I'm using this video to try and increase my amount of applications for a certain role. Maybe it's a hiring manager video that I'm placing on an actual job post, right? Then I may be looking at the amount of job views to applies month over time. And again, this goes to why am I creating the video in the first place? Am I sharing the right message for that point in the candidate journey? And have I put the video in the right place in the candidate journey? Again, it's how I measure it is going to depend on what I created, what problem I'm trying to solve, what I created, and then where I'm placing it. And then I'm going to look at the particular metrics.
And Alex, what do you like to look at to know that your videos are succeeding?
So I like to, I mean, the metrics are great, right? I think we have to report on that. I'm not gonna lie about, their KPIs, but when our recruiters are actually meeting with people, so if they're doing the intake call and they say, hey, you know what? Hey, the video that Leigha and Yolanda put together was phenomenal. Or, they don't know that, right? But hey, that video about, walking into the office, or like that work from home experience or diversity, whatever video you may have created, when they share that with you, I think that's more impactful, because you can't make up the impressions, you can't make up the views. They're sharing that with you. It resonated that much where it prompted them to apply, right? And that's the goal of what we do, is we want to get those passive job seekers. They have a bad day, they click there, they apply, they share that with us. That matters a lot more to me.
And Yolanda?
Yeah, I completely agree with Alex and Leigha. One other thing that I can add is when people are actually eager to share it with others, that is kind of means we've done our job well. Whether it's includes longevity, like the fact that it's been out there for a while. Obviously, to the point Alex made about those metrics are great, like view through and number of times it was served, that's great. But I think when I get repeat customers or repeat talent saying, that was a wonderful experience, I'll do it again, to me, that's also a measure of success, because it means I have to do less work in trying to find someone to actually do a video. And, sometimes that could be a little bit challenging, but I think when we have people that are very happy with the whole process, like making it, and they come out of their shell. Again, I work in a very regulated industry, so it's not always comfortable for people to do videos. So that's definitely a measure of success for me.
Yeah, I'll tell you, from my perspective, I love it when the recruiter looks good. When the hiring manager says, so-and-so in the interview said they were never going to apply until they saw that video thing. It's like, yes, finally got some appreciation there. Very cool. And I'll let any one of you go through on this and really talk about, you've all mentioned different ways that you're using video, you're looking at it throughout the candidate journey. How are you using video? Where is it really making a difference? Or when is it you go, okay, video is going to be my solution here?
I'll
go ahead. No, yeah, I saw your
video.
Saw you coming off video there.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries.
video is always a solution, or I can't say 100% of the time,
Love this.
but it is becoming quickly the default. And you'll love that, Maury. I know that I'm saying that, and I really do believe that. Um, it just, yeah, and she didn't even pay me for that. But people really want to, it brings everyone and everything to life. Um, we use them for the typical recruitment and hiring videos. If they're talking about what life is like to work at the company, you want to actually show them living people. But I think one big opportunity that I'm looking forward to tackling soon is obviously with the tapering off of COVID, work life balance is definitely a big topic. I'm looking forward to really tackling more of the life of the work life balance because I think people are very used to seeing the work side and then maybe just touching a little bit of the life, but really bringing that life to life is, I think, a big opportunity for these videos.
Yolanda, I was going to share something similar that I see this evolution where a lot of businesses, I think, are going to be looking at how do we share, and this is, I think, a reflection of what's been happening in the world recently when we think about the Great Resignation, right? There's this shift toward people wanting to have more balance, more flexibility, and now businesses are looking to say, how are we accommodating that? Video is a great way to show how individuals are able to capitalize on the opportunities for inclusivity and balance. And it's really hard for people to put that into words and to actually show what that means at an individual level in words or in a blog. We can try it, but it doesn't feel the same as when you see a video and see somebody maybe with their child, saying, I get to, in 2 seconds go from being a, working from home, mother to being at home with my child.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Then I would add on, we use it so we have a Friday jobs video that goes out. We work with recruiters who have high priority positions, and then they can share that with their networks. We share that on our GoDaddy Life social channels. We also put videos as a call to action on our blogs. So the GoDaddy Life blogs, as well as within our CRM. So when you go on there, okay, it's another touch point where you can see this video before you apply. And then again, to join the social channels. On top of that, I would say we also utilize video in a pretty good way recently with a hiring event. And it gave us an opportunity to not just talk about the open roles that we have, but we had engineers who came together to talk about the open source code they were working with, the different projects, ERGs and everything, and why that really made them appreciate the GoDaddy Life. But those are just a few cases. But I agree with with Leigha and Yolanda. There's so many ways to use video, right? But then it goes back to why are you doing it? What are you trying to accomplish, and how it's going to happen?
And Alex, there's no way you've only made 30 videos if you're doing all that. But and let me just sort of build on Yolanda's question. And I think I named the client here. It was McGraw-Hill, because they were very generous in sharing things. They were aware that because people were remote, they weren't building the kind of personal relationships. People jumped on Zoom and they had their meetings and so forth. So they encouraged employees to make videos of things that were their kind of personal passions. There's this wonderful video of a woman who was a kayaker. And she took, her phone out and she showed the Class 4 river, and then they shared it internally to just add a little bit more to the relationship building. Or someone who loved to cook, talked about that. You don't write emails about these things. It's just different when you can take a video and show it and talk about it. And you also get to capture some of the passion to it. So, they were doing that for sort of team building, employee retention, all of that. But yeah, anytime you want to communicate, video just lets you do it so much faster and so much easier.
Yeah.
So I love all of that. So we're really looking
And
at
you'd
people.
be surprised. Yeah, you'd be surprised at how easily it is for people to talk more about what they're passionate about than what you want them to. Like if you want them, like you said before, hey, we really want you to hit these points of the EVP. It's a lot easier to talk about your dog or how you left early because he's,
Mhm.
it's just, it gives them an opportunity to be themselves, and maybe that's the way in to get additional content. Sorry, I just had to add that.
Yeah, no, delighted. And let me sort of build on that and ask about, how do you get employees to participate and make videos? We understand some people are very natural at it and good at it. Oftentimes, if you want the hiring manager, or sometimes having a department head to make a video, talk about the vision and the challenges, those kind of things, you might find more reluctance. I saw there's a question in the chat about, do you reward employees for making videos? How do you get the participation from the people you want, as opposed to just necessarily from the people who want to, be up and on camera all the time? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say, there's a good question there in the chat I just answered, but hiring managers are the ones who want you to put out this content. Very rarely do they, partake in it. But I let them know, hey, listen, if I'm going to apply for a job, right, if I'm a software engineer, I want to hear from the person who I may potentially work with that can speak about that, versus, the four of us on this call, right? We have an ends to a means. We got to produce this content. We're going to tell you kind of what this, we're going to give you the questions, you're going to answer. But if I can hear from a engineering manager who's going to tell me, hey, I can work on, 2 different projects in a year, front end and back end, that resonates with me, versus, hey, it's such a great place to work, I get to play ping pong and free beer. That doesn't matter to anybody.
And that's been my experience as well, Alex. It's really about the questions that you're asking people to answer in their videos. It's all about how it's the experience that we're delivering to our employees when we ask them to participate in something like this. One is having the empathy to realize that we're asking them for something in addition to their day-to-day. I guess as a hiring manager, maybe we could view this as part of their day-to-day, but it really is something in addition, right? It's extra, and everybody's so busy right now. So how can we make it easier for them to participate? And then it's also, I have a journalism degree, so I always put my kind of my journalist hat on and think of, what question am I asking them? If we say, what do you love about working here? What makes working here different than the other places? How can we improve that question? I think of saying, tell me about a time when. That makes it a little bit better. But if you're trying to ask them about maybe growth or career opportunities, say, as a new manager, can you tell me about a tough time, something that wasn't going well? How were you supported through that experience? Getting really, really specific about the questions you ask them and like getting them into the headspace, that's going to elicit so much better of a response, and get the meat that you're looking for to get the answer that the candidate wants. And that, to me, that's made all the difference for me in getting good video content. And sometimes it's also about spending prep time. I've had to realize that in our roles, we're usually pretty good storytellers, and our average employees, maybe they're not. So sometimes it's taking the time to have a prep call with them and just to have a super, super casual conversation, and then follow up with some points. I loved when you were telling me about this. This was such a great story. I would love to capture that on video, because a lot of people don't realize that their career stories, or just their everyday stories, right, are really, really great. And it's what other people want to hear. And so they need the guidance and the coaching for that. And we can do that. It does take some time, though.
Yolanda?
Yeah. And the one thing that I would add is, or maybe 2 things, is I also take the approach of, yes, there are people who are low-hanging fruit that you could maybe always tap. And that's usually the younger audience who naturally have their phones out already. And so they are ready to do content at the drop of a dime. But then they work on a team. And so that team is more likely to want to be a part of something when they see it kind of out there already. So there's this natural competitive nature, I would say, that when people see one department doing it, they feel like it's easier for them to maybe do it as well. So I think maybe internally, maybe promoting a ton of what other teams are doing gets more people involved and on board. So that's definitely kind of a tactic that I've used in the past, to showing what other teams are doing, which kind of makes people feel like, I don't want that department to be the only one that's kind of getting out there and telling their story. I have a great story, or we have a great story as well. So yeah, I would just add that.
Yeah, those competitive juices can be really helpful to you sometimes. And we often advise people, take a static, if you're doing it for recruiting, take a static job description, those 5 paragraphs of text and 19 bullet points, and put it next to something that's got a video in it, and ask the hiring manager, how do you want me to go recruit for your job? And what do you think the candidate's going to respond to? It's the hiring manager who needs the hire, right? They're the one that's short-staffed. So put it out to them. Hey, if I'm a recruiter, I'm going to work really hard. If I'm the employer brand person, I'm going to try hard to get this in front of candidates, but give me something to work with. And I want to just build on what Alex said. I'm watching the clock here, and we're going to run out of time. I had a couple of videos from you guys that I was going to show and share. And the one that I loved from Alex was an engineer who talked very specifically about the career development opportunities. It wasn't a generic, oh, this is a great place to work, everybody here is so friendly. I watch those and go, oh my heavens, I have no idea what company about. But this was very specific about giving presentations internally, about being enrolled into. It had real meat to it and real substance to it, and so it had credibility to it. And I think that's, yes, when you get people to tell their real stories and get the specificity to it, and some of that requires coaching, and some of it is a. I'll make sure everybody gets it in the chat. But let me go to the last piece. And some of this, because I'm conscious of time, and I know you're all busy, and we promised our audience we would try to pack as much into 30 minutes as we could. But one of the mistakes that I see people making is thinking that making the video is the project. And once the video is made, oh, we got the video made. Okay, we're done here. It's like, no, you've got the video made. Now you need to start your project, which is getting the video seen. And Alex, to make sure we don't run out of time, I know you are a big fan of advocacy and having people share. Could you just talk a little bit about what you've done to get the content that you've created actually out there in front of people? Because we're big believers in having the team and employees share, because they're connected to people who have similar credentials and backgrounds and worked at other companies. So can you just tell us what you've done in terms of advocacy?
Yeah, so I mean, if you have an existing employee advocacy program, putting it there, give me some messaging, hand-holding to show, hey, this is what you tagged, these are the hashtags to use. And then the video, like you said, okay, you've got this video created, you got to do something with it. You're not done, right? Just like your EVP, you got to activate that baby. And outside of that, right? So if you don't have an advocacy program, it's pretty simple to create. I mean, I've spoken about this several times, but if you just want to email a group of individuals who are strong advocates, do that. Or if you have a Slack, if you're using Slack for Teams, create a channel, drop people in there. And then when people see that, hey, they're gonna, they'll want to share that, entice them to. I saw the talk about rewards here. A thank you, a gift card. We have everyday champion points. So I always, say, hey, I'll give you, we'll put you in the running for everyday champion points if you share this. But then tie that into the hiring manager as well and say, all right, this is what people want to see. Push this out there to your, your network, because you have the network of people who actually are more inclined to apply for these jobs. But there's endless ways to do that. But I'm all about that. And I just think if you're just doing nothing with it, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, Yolanda, anything to add in terms of getting your videos seen?
I think I think in terms of, really quickly, and then I'll let Leigha go. Just the circles. So there's the employee. That employee probably has a team, right? They really need to know, and they need to amplify. Then that team works in the department. That department needs to amplify. Then the department works in a group. That group needs. So it just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you use that first ground zero person to really make sure that they're sharing, hey guys, look what I did, or we did, or it just kind of helps push it out on their own feeds. I think it does, obviously, from a employee advocacy standpoint, it does a lot more than just the brand pushing it out. It's actually people pushing it out. So aside from paid, obviously, organic, that's the best kind of way to get it out there.
Yeah, you want to wrap for us?
I love that approach, Yolanda. I love that approach. And then just looking for ways to inspire other people to riff off of that and be inspired to share their own story as they're sharing it.
Very cool. Well, I am afraid I would love to do a half day with this team. I think we'd have lots of ideas and we could go into a lot more depth and so forth. But hopefully this is giving you just some insight into the folks who are doing it well, and understand video is an incredibly powerful tool. If you are not using video, if you're all in static images and text, take the leap. Absolutely. You are at a real competitive disadvantage if you haven't got a really strong video library. I suspect all our panelists would be open to reaching out if you have specific questions. Certainly I'm open. Reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk about this. Thank you, all three of you. This has been terrific. I really appreciate the time. Thank you for sharing your expertise. I think we make the whole industry stronger when we share these kinds of insights and so forth. So thank you all. We'll be sending out a recording of this. So if you want to take it again or share it with your teammates, please do that. And with that, I will take you off and thank you. So guys, I'm going to